For justice and peace and equality.
All right, Game Changers Magazine, Game Changers Media Network, Voices of the Village podcast, where change starts with conversation. We're back with Henry County State Court Judge, Mr. James D. Boles. How you doing today, Judge Boles?
I'm doing great. Thank you for asking. You doing well, sir?
Man, doing good, man. Henry County's growing. Henry County's doing great things, phenomenal. Along with growth, we know we have to govern people accordingly. Making sure that our community stays safe, making sure that our community stays impartial and fair, like you said. Who is James D. Boles? And tell us a little bit about you.
So I'm James Darrell Boles Jr. I was born and raised right here in Henry County.
Okay.
I lived in Stockbridge with my family until I was 6 years old.
Wow.
We moved to McDonough from Stockbridge when I was 6.
Okay.
I grew up off of Old Jackson Road in South Bethany. So I went to schools that are no longer in Henry County. They've transitioned into other schools, and we've had so much growth in the schools that McDonough Primary School, McDonough Elementary School,
right.
they're now defunct. But I actually went to both of those schools, and then so when I was a freshman in high school, Union Grove opened up.
Okay.
And so the thing was, even though I lived out close to Ola, when Union Grove opened up, if you could get yourself there, if you didn't require the services of the bus, it was open enrollment, you could go to Union Grove High School.
Okay.
So I went over to Union Grove High School, and I graduated from there in 2005.
Wow.
Went on to actually live just outside of Athens and went to a school called Gainesville State College. Got an associate's degree from Gainesville State in political science. While I was there, I was working for the school's IT department, picking up some odd jobs. I actually worked at the University of Georgia Dining Commons a little bit, just whatever I had to do to pay the rent.
Go Dogs.
You know how it goes. So from getting my associate's degree in political science at Gainesville State College, I moved to Kennesaw.
Wow.
And I got my bachelor's in political science from Kennesaw. I graduated cum laude, which is the top 20% of your class.
Okay.
With a 4.89 GPA.
Right.
I was 3.89 GPA. I was really, that threshold is the 3.9 gets you summa cum laude. So I was really hoping I was going to get that, but
definitely
graduated magna cum laude from Kennesaw State University.
Okay.
I went on to go to Atlanta's John Marshall Law School on the Ryan Merit Scholarship.
Okay.
So I had a scholarship going to law school. While I was in law school, and I think I'll backtrack a little bit. Also, while I was in undergrad, I was introduced to something called mock trial.
Okay.
Mock trial made a profound impact on me.
Okay.
That's basically going in and acting as an attorney and acting as witnesses, and you're given a fact pattern, be it a criminal fact pattern or a civil fact pattern.
Okay.
And you play out a trial against other schools, against other teams.
Yeah.
And it's judged, and you go to competitions and tournaments doing that. So I started doing that when I was at Kennesaw State University. I had some interest in maybe one day being an attorney.
Okay.
I expressed that to some people. I was invited to come try out for the team, and I ended up making it onto the mock trial team at Kennesaw.
Oh, man.
So I did that. I competed for 3 years at Kennesaw State in undergrad mock trial, that's a lot of mock trial. A lot of people don't touch it till they get to law school. I did it for 3 years in undergrad.
Okay.
By our third year, we had such a cohesive team, and we were so good that we were flying around the nation competing in tournaments. We were going against big schools. We're competing, little Kennesaw State, and we're competing against Duke, and we're competing against Yale, and I mean, we were doing really good.
Right.
The school started pumping some money into us, paying us to fly around and do stuff like that.
Yeah.
So so when it came time to go to law school, that was kind of part of it. That was one of the reasons I was offered the scholarship I was offered to go to law school, was because Atlanta's John Marshall had interest in seeing their trial. They call it trial advocacy in law school. It's no longer quite mock trial, but they wanted to see their student trial advocacy board start doing well.
Right.
So they brought me in, and I'll never forget my first year of law school. They call it being a 1L. I'm nervous, and I'm working as hard as I can, and they are in fact working me as hard as they can push me to work.
Oh, definitely.
And I remember thinking, man, I just don't know that I'm gonna be able to do all of this and still do mock trial. And they said, hey, you remember that scholarship we gave you? So mock trial practice starts on Wednesday. We'll see you there. so I did that. I did that my 1L year, and I did that my 3L year. It's funny. I actually took off my 2L year, so my second year in law school. And truth be told, I just missed it. I had to get back to it.
Man, so I want to backtrack because you said you got a scholarship for a mock trial, right?
Right.
Now, most people go to college on scholarships for basketball, football, varsity, volleyball teams, some of those things. But one thing that I did not know, that schools are handing out scholarships for mock trials. Tell us how that motivates a person trying to study law.
Yeah, so it's also an academic scholarship. It's not solely because of mock trial, but that was a big factor in the scholarship offer that I received. And there's something interesting about that. When I was in high school, when you and I were in high school, there weren't mock trial teams in the high schools, or especially in the public schools.
Right.
So now that's becoming very prevalent. In fact, so for the last 3 years, I've coached Stockbridge High School's mock trial team. Along with Averill Jackson, we've had some assistance from some other people. This last year, being that I'm a judge now and that I have a courtroom that I've been allowed to let my students, I would let my students come in, and we would do practices and scrimmages, if you will, in a live courtroom setting, which has been absolutely incredible. But so these kids now are being introduced to the idea of competing in this trial advocacy style competition.
Correct.
Much earlier than was ever even available to us.
Correct.
And through that, they're going to learn the skills and the presentation abilities that are going to allow for them to have those same opportunities that I had, and possibly go even further than the opportunities that I had, and go to big law schools and compete at places like Duke and that sort of thing. I think that's an incredible opportunity for the young people in our county.
And Kennesaw is a college that's growing. I mean, it's developing a big brand name nationwide, globally, behind the students that they're sitting to, not just sports, but in academic as well. So want to commend Kennesaw State. Now, I see a lot of our judges are active in the community. You mentioned that you're active at Stockbridge High School, working with the youth, developing a mock trial team. What does it mean to be an impacting community, pouring back into the community that you came from, and setting the stage for those that are coming after you, the future leaders of tomorrow?
Yes, so I think community service and mentorship is everything. The youth are our future, after all. So anything we can do to give back to the community, and I do specifically, I tend to find that when I'm looking for things that I can help, young people stand out to me. People with mental health disorders and veterans are a big thing for me. And I try and do what I can as well for the unhomed, the homeless situations in Atlanta. Those are kind of my big issues that I tend to donate any time that I can to. So I like to help the students through mock trial, through speaking engagements. I had a class of kindergartners in my courtroom a few weeks ago, and that was a fun experience. They had some great questions. They wanted to know, if you do 300 mile an hour, do you go to jail? And is it okay to speed if there's an emergency? So it was really fun to speak to the kids.
Man.
So other than that, my wife works at a credit union. For the last probably 10 years, she has headed projects for holiday givebacks to help people that are in need, as well as we participate yearly, and again for about 10 years, with WSB Stuff the Bus program, giving backpacks to children who are in need of school supplies and backpack products. And we're actually one of the larger providers of backpacks in that program. We pull up there every year. With 350 plus backpacks. We take multiple vehicles up there, and every year they'll have the whole team out there unloading the backpacks. And me and my wife have been fortunate enough to end up on the WSB news station, doing interviews with them and stuff about our participation in those programs as well. So those are some things that are near and dear to me.
Man, that's awesome, man. And we appreciate you for not just being a public community servant, but also being a community asset, pouring back into the future generation, next generation leaders of today, and those that are in need. Speaking of those that are in need, You serve as a Henry County State Court judge, serving a specific style of court. Tell us your position as a Henry County State Court judge, what that looks like, who do you service, how do you service? I know you guys have a big accountability program, helping people give them a second chance. Tell us what it looks like in your platform, in your courtroom.
Yeah, absolutely. So a little bit about being a state court judge.
Okay.
In state court, we deal with misdemeanor criminal violations. That ranges anywhere from traffic citations to things like driving under the influence, battery, family violence, and shoplifting, just to name a few.
Okay.
The other side of being a judge and even practicing law is civil work. So civil work is things like personal injury, automobile wrecks, medical malpractices, that sort of thing. Those are the things that we deal with as state court judges. Family law, that goes across the street to the superior courts. They handle the divorces and stuff like that. They handle the felony charges. So we're dealing with personal injury stuff predominantly. A lot of creditor debtor stuff like contract situations on the civil side, and then misdemeanor charges on the criminal side. So 9 months ago, when I became a judge, I took over the Henry County State Court Misdemeanor Diversion Court. And what we focus on primarily within Misdemeanor Diversion Court is both veterans and individuals who have mental health issues that they're working to and have led to negative interactions with law enforcement and leading them to be accused of a crime. So what that looks like a little bit, and they tend to go hand in hand because it is oftentimes that our veterans are having mental health issues as a result of their service to our country as well. What we're looking for here is, as the name indicates, Misdemeanor Diversion Court, we're looking for a diversionary program to allow them the benefit of having both treatment and to see ultimately, once they're successful in the program, to have their case dismissed and to have the arrest sealed from their record or restricted from their record. That way future employers and people that do their background checks don't see that because of their mental health issues they were arrested and that they were charged with this offense that on paper may look bad, but ultimately we know that there was a reason that it happened, and we've offered the tools, the treatment, the counseling to assure that the recidivism or that this sort of thing doesn't happen to them again. And that's the ultimate goal. And I tell people when they first come into court to apply for the program, we have that conversation. I say, the ultimate goal to this is to see you get some counseling, to see you on medication if we think you need to get medication. What we do is we have a mental health assessment done. That's part of being in the program. Step one, get a mental health assessment done. Let's see what our professional thinks that we need to do to provide services to you. So then we do, if it's counseling, we do counseling. If it's medication, it's medication. They come in once a month. We have a conversation, much like the conversation you and I are having. It's I don't wear the robe. I don't wear a suit. I come in a polo shirt. And I talk to these people with the respect and dignity that they deserve, because they are people that are in this situation for reasons that were outside of their control. And we're trying to help them. We want to give them the tools that they need to go forward with their life without finding themselves in a repeated cycle of dealing with these legal issues.
Man, awesome. Now, you were appointed by Governor Brian Kemp, you said 9 months ago.
Yes, sir.
And as the man for the job, what did it mean to you to have Governor Kemp say you're the guy? How did that make you feel? What did that look like, and what did that scenario do to impact, with how Henry County is growing? Because, he selected you. We know Governor Kemp has appointed many judges in Henry County, and you can see as we're growing and those judges are thriving in the area that they're in. Tell us what it meant to you to have Governor Kemp back that and say you're the man.
Absolutely. So let me start a little bit by telling you about the appointment process. So you indicated Governor Kemp has appointed many judges in Henry County. You couldn't be more accurate about that. In fact, every judge currently in Henry County has gone through the appointment process, with the exception of our Chief Magistrate, Judge Boyd. She qualified and was unopposed, and she was elevated from a Chief Associate Judge, and I apologize if I get that terminology wrong, but she's now our Chief Magistrate Judge. But with the exception of that, all of our judges were by appointment, and we go through the election process thereafter. But we don't have any judges on the bench that were just that ran against a sitting judge and unseated a sitting judge. We don't have that experience in Henry County because we have fantastic judges in Henry County.
I agree.
Now let's talk a little bit about that appointment process.
Okay.
I don't just get a phone call from Governor Kemp in the middle of the night that says, "Hey, we need a judge and we think you're our guy," and I go, "Really?"
Yeah.
No, that's not how that works at all. So the application process, my understanding is through the application process that I went through, there were about 15 applicants.
Right.
A board known as the Judicial Nominating Committee, or the JNC, reviews those applications. They look at everything, the totality of all applicants that put in the information, and this is a very thorough application process. I think by the time I submitted my application, it was around 32 pages long.
Wow.
So we had about 15 applicants. From that list of 15 applicants, they create what they call a short list, and those are the people that they're going to bring in to first the JNC to do an interview. Now that interview room has anywhere from maybe 15 to 20 people in it, and these are attorneys, these are board members, these are judges, chief justices, all kinds of various people. There are people in there that are, someone like maybe a board member for Home Depot or something like that. So these aren't just people from the legal community. You go into this room, and I'll just go ahead and I'll paint the scene for you. You go in, and there's a giant U-shaped table, and there all the people are sitting at this U-shaped table. And at the top of that U, at the opening of that U, they have a single desk. And I guess you can imagine that's where you sit. So you go into this boiler room, and they're firing questions from you from all sides, and you're responding and giving the reasons why you think you're the best candidate for the job.
Definitely.
So once you go through that process, the JNC meets within their internal framework, and they make the determination as to who they are going to send up to interview with the governor. So for me, it was Judge Chandra Lewis, and myself got the opportunity to interview with the governor. So I'd actually applied to be a Superior Court judge. We had a vacancy within the Superior Court, and I made that application process. Well, Judge Chandra Lewis was a state court judge at the time.
Right.
So we went through the interview process, and we waited. I think we did not have a very long waiting period. There was a need to get the position filled, and the governor put his attention to it very quickly. So what ended up happening is Judge Lewis was appointed the Superior Court seat. And that, of course, created a vacancy with the state court. And based on the vetting that I had gone through, Governor Kemp thought that I was a good person to place in that position, and he offered me that job position. I was standing. It was a Monday night at about 6 o'clock. And when you interview for a job with the governor, your phone doesn't go on silent until you get a response. So it's been 4 or 5 days of telemarketing calls and me snapping my head every time the phone chirps.
Every time it chirps.
And so it's about Monday at 6 o'clock, and I'm getting a little phone ring fatigue. So it's kind of like it rings, and I look over, I'm like, okay, which telemarketer is it this time? And it came up right there on the caller ID. It said Brian Kemp, and my wife was sitting beside me, and oh my gosh. I answered the phone. I said, hey, real casually, this is James. And he was as nice as he could be, and he told me that he was going to appoint Chandra to the Superior Court seat. And I think about 20 seconds into that conversation, I thought to myself, I bet my wife would like to hear this. Why don't I put it on speakerphone? Because she's sitting over there just staring holes through me. What's he saying? Here, speakerphone. All right. Let's remember that function. But he offered me the job. I think about 2 weeks after that, I was sworn in as a state court judge in Henry County.
Wow, Henry County's growing, man. And I mean, I remember, having maybe 3 judges, So, with the way Henry County's growing, one of the fastest growing counties in the nation, is definitely a need to meet the need of making sure we were able to manage the caseloads in Henry County and give the people fair opportunity, and without our judges being burnt out. You guys, we got to go to a commercial break. We got Judge James D. Boles. I'm sorry about that. James D. Boles, right here on Voices of the Village podcast. Let me give a shout out to some of our sponsors. April is National Stress Month, basically Stress Awareness Month. Want to give a shout out to Dr. D. Terrence Foster, the D. Terrence Foster Foundation, doing phenomenal things, educating our community on 40 ways to manage stress. Also, we want to give a shout out to a new well, Ms. Rhonda Crockett, her staff, helping adults who deal with IDD, that's individual developmental disabilities. Also, we want to give a huge shout out to Miss Kathy Burt of Community Care Homes, who she manages and helps those who suffer with brain injury and traumatic crisis. So just keep in mind, April is National Autism Month and National Stress Month. But we're right here on Voices of the Village podcast, where change starts with conversation. You guys stay tuned. James D.
Justice and peace.